Trio Access Hub.
Good afternoon and welcome to this week's edition of It Could Be You. I'm your host, John S., and I'm back with you live at the KABF studio, just outside what I defiantly describe, just outside the downtown part of downtown Little Rock. And we're not only in the second week of our quarterly pledge drive, but I've got a couple of really fine people with me in the studio today. Yes, I'm outnumbered again, but it is for a very good cause, and that is access to education. I'm going to get into the conversation with my guest very shortly. But before we get into it, two things. Please keep the input that you have about It Could Be You coming in. And you know, you've heard me talk about this many times before, that input is going to include, but not necessarily be limited to, recommendations for future topics that you would like to have addressed on this program. Or maybe it's a topic that you haven't heard being addressed for a while, that you would really appreciate a revisit to this particular topic or issue. Maybe it's a particular person or a particular group that you might want to have them on It Could Be You for the first time, or again, maybe they haven't been on this program for a time and you'd like for them to come back. Or any questions that you may have for guests who are going to be on a particular program. And again, if there's something you just want to vent about, write me. And I say write, not necessarily text or email or anything like that. Please pick up pencil or pen, if you prefer, paper, write to me. Send it to It Could Be You, 2101 South Main, Little Rock, Arkansas, 72206. Again, we're community radio. We're the independent station in this area. You've got something to say. Again, you just want to vent. Here's an outlet for you to do that. And while you're venting, or while you're thinking about maybe making a recommendation for a future topic, how about all the listeners out there, those of you who can, those of you who are able to do so, how about showing your support for KABF? Now, you know we're one of the very few outlets in this area who is not beholden to any corporate interests. So there's no real, if you will, agenda that's imposed on us. Now, the closest thing that we've got to an agenda is in, our best-known tagline, that KABF 88.3 FM is the voice of the people. Now, on It Could Be You, I like to use the tagline that's not used as much, and that is giving a voice to the voiceless. I don't think a good deal of corporate media you're going to have maybe opportunities like that. And while you're getting this information, as we're going to be talking about in just a little bit, while you're getting this information essentially for free, there is a cost that comes with it. And essentially that's the cost that we here at KABF have to meet. And it could be from the equipment upkeep to the monthly bills to the fees for the tower, everything to keep us going, to make sure that we continue our mission of being your independent, your community radio station. Cash is okay. Check is okay. And those magic little pieces of rectangular plastic that so many of us carry, and it's got those wonderful words on there like Visa or MasterCard, or the more exotic, say, American Express, PayPal. But make sure that those names are also matched up with the numbers on those little pieces of plastic. When you can call in or email or text or however you want to do it, your support for KABF. It could be you hungry. It could be you homeless. Or, as we're going to be talking about today, it could be you who maybe had an education-related situation, maybe some time ago, maybe much more recently, and that situation maybe turned you away from accessing higher education. Now, I've talked to quite a number of individuals who, after they stepped away from it, well, sooner or later, the pangs of regret of saying, oh, if I'd only done this differently, they began to creep back in. And I've talked with and I've worked with a number of people who would be kind of generally lumped together into a category called non-traditional students. And they said, I missed out. When I had the opportunity early on, I missed out. I'm going to go back if I can. And there's a couple of folks here in the studio with me, and they are from one of our local institutions of higher learning. I'm going to say the mouthful, the University of Arkansas at Little Rock. And yep, they're here, and we're going to be spending this hour talking about at least one of the programs where people who want a second chance at accessing higher education, a second bite of the apple, if you will. There's a program called TRIO, and then there's a related and associated program called EOC, and that's what we're going to be really focusing on today. But first things first, I want to welcome my guests who are representing the TRIO, the EOC program at UALR. First things first, who the heck are you?
My name is Leah Irvin, and I am an education specialist.
All right. And there's a second person in here. Your name is?
Good afternoon. My name is Howard Jackson.
Right.
I'm with the EOC TRIO program.
First things first. I always like to get some basic information out to the folks who are listening in. If there's someone out there, either for themselves or maybe for a friend, a neighbor, a family member, and they would like to share information about your programs, what are going to be the best ways to get in touch with you at UALR?
They can actually go to our website address, which is UALR/TRIO/EOC Central, or they can reach out to us on Facebook at EOCCentral.AR, and we even have an Instagram, which is at EOC TRIO. But if you like to, you can also call us directly at 501 area code 916-3470.
How about giving those contact outlets again? Make sure that folks had a chance to write it down.
Okay.
Give all that information again,
all right,
please.
The website address is ualr.edu/TRIO/EOC Central. And our Facebook is at EOCCentral.AR. And our Instagram is at EOC TRIO.
Okay. And that phone number again, please.
Phone number is area code 501-916-3470.
Now, if someone picks up the phone and calls in, are you keeping Arkansas government hours or university hours? Like, say, someone's there to answer the phone strictly like Monday through Friday?
Yes, we have typical office hours, 8 to 5, Monday through Friday.
Okay.
However, if need be and someone works during those hours, we can make accommodations to meet them after hours.
Okay. All right. Now, the next thing, okay, we're going to go into more detail about the TRIO, about the EOC programs. But there could be some folks out there who are already starting to say, ooh, I didn't know about this. But is EOC available only at University of Arkansas at Little Rock and only on the main campus?
No, actually, there are several EOC TRIO programs throughout the state. example, the central EOC, which is what we are, we serve 3 counties, Pulaski, Lone Oak, and Saline, hence the word central.
Gotcha.
But we do have 2 other EOC programs at UALR, and they one serves the southeast section of the state, and the other serves the north central portion of the state. But there are other EOC programs at other schools that pretty much cover different areas of the state. For example, the northeast, like Blytheville, Jonesboro area,
right?
The Harrison area, if you want to say north central. There's one, overlaps. There's one in Henderson, which serves that southeast section.
Right.
And then there's one in extreme western Arkansas, serves the Mena area. It serves that area over there, and also Fort Smith.
What about the Delta region? Is there any representation of TRIO and or EOC there? Are there plans? If not, are there plans to get something started?
Yes, one of the programs in our office, EOC 2, they serve the Delta region, meaning the southeast portion of the state.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. And let me just put this out there. For those of you who are listening in and you're from outside the central part of the state, I'm guessing, and if I get this wrong, please correct me, that if you're not sure about your particular area, you could call in to the TRIO, the EOC program here, or you could get the contact information for whatever college, whatever university. And we could be talking about a 2-year institution. We could be talking about the 4-year institution. And you might just want to go online or give them a call and see how they are served by TRIO or EOC.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Fair enough.
And
now,
if I could jump in just a moment, I've been in TRIO for about 1.5 years, and so I didn't know about it as I was going through my college experience, and I could have really benefited from hearing of it. EOC is one of the TRIO programs. A talent search starts in middle school to high school. EOC gets the adults, and so that's the distinction of the Education Opportunity Center. Is we work with the 19 plus adults, and we can work with high school seniors that are not otherwise served by a TRIO program. The talent search programs are in the schools, and the EOC is outside of the school. We're housed at UALR.
Gotcha.
But we don't recruit only for UALR. We can get them into any college or trade, school, career and technical ed that they're interested in.
And this is information that people can find out about if they go to your website or they pick up the phone and they give you a call. They can get that information. You will share that information. If a person calls in, they say, well, is my area or is my daughter's high school under this particular program or has access to this particular? Okay.
Yes, we actually have contact information for the other programs throughout the state.
Gotcha.
And if we don't know, we can find out.
Fair enough. Now, a lot of groups that visit It Could Be You, they are very, very happy to know that they're not working, say, in a vacuum. That there are a lot of groups that, in one way or another, are like your partners, your allies. In this instance, this would be for advocating access to higher education. Are there any, like, say, partner groups or allied groups that you'd like to either recognize, give a shout-out to, anything like that?
Yes, we have several community partnerships, one of them being with the WIOA program in Arkansas Workforce. We also work with several treatment houses like BCD Hoover.
Gotcha.
And we also deal with corrections with Phoenix House.
Freshly Renewed Treatment Center or Transitional Treatment Center. We work with Arkansas Community Corrections. And
I heard you talking to someone before going on the air. You're also a presence at the very least, the VA Day Center here in town.
Yes, the Veterans Day Treatment Center. We also visit our house.
Jericho Way. We're trying to establish more presence with Immerse Arkansas, with the foster youth.
Right, right. And you mentioned groups that are here really in the Pulaski, in the central Arkansas area. Do you have also like any contact or alliances with groups that are a little bit further afield in other parts of the state?
I work with Saline County Cares out of Saline County, which there are several programs that are partnered with them, and so we share information, and that gives us an opportunity to extend our outreach. And then the Central Arkansas Development Center in Lone Oak, and then we work with any adult ed center that is in the central part of the state. So we work with Lone Oak Adult Ed, Prairie County, Cabot, Little Rock, the Saline County Adult Ed, which has moved over to the Pulaski Tech South Campus.
Gotcha. Now, I'm also jumping to the conclusion that y'all are always open to building more relationships, more partnerships, alliances with other groups. They could be, whether they could be maybe faith-based or other civic organizations. So any group out there that would like to explore the possibility of becoming a partner, becoming an ally, that you're okay with that? You want to hear from them?
Yes, we're open to. We're always trying to expand the access to education to all types of audiences.
Okay. Well, let's kind of stick with sort of basic information. Okay, exactly what are both the EOC, as you said, Educational Opportunity Center program, and the TRIO program? First of all, what are they? And then let's really drive it home. Why are these programs important?
Okay. First off, just to make a distinction between TRIO and EOC, as Ms. Irvin mentioned, EOC is one of the TRIO programs. Originally, back in 1965, there were 3 TRIO programs, one of them being Upward Bound, Talent Search, and Student Support Services, so hence the word TRIO. Nowadays it's 7 or 9 TRIO programs, but they're still referred to as TRIO. And so basically you have a TRIO program for every facet of your educational cycle. So as we mentioned, you have Talent Search, which covers middle school through high school. Then you have Upward Bound, which covers high school from 9th through 12th. Then you can actually have EOC step in, which serves adults 19 and older. These programs are more or less college preparatory or community outreach programs. As you get enrolled in college or any type of school, you have TRIO programs that focus more or less on retention. So you have a student support services program, which keeps you in school, and these could be set up at 2- and 4-year colleges. And if you want to go pursue a graduate degree, graduate studies, you can actually enroll in Ronald McNair program. So you got from middle school up until graduate studies. Okay. And so, as I said, TRIO is a lot of programs, but originally there were 3 programs.
All right. What about EOC? What about the Educational Opportunity Center?
Yes, at the Educational Opportunity Center, we work specifically with the 19-plus adult population, and we are looking to assist them. It's a pre-college, so we help them with admissions. We help them gather their paperwork together. We help if they need to take the AccuPlacer test. We give that placement test and absorb the cost. So, because a lot of times the barrier to starting the process is the paperwork. And so we help to make that all a little bit more manageable. But Education Opportunity Center, we work with the adults specifically.
Now, are either or both of these programs operating in other states, or is this kind of unique to Arkansas and what you're doing? Are you kind of have you kind of patterned what you're doing after programs that are going on in other states?
TRIO is nationwide. As a matter of fact, we have a national organization, we have a regional organization, we have a state organization. So, I mean, you can pretty much go anywhere across the continental U.S. of A, and there's a TRIO program depending on where. I mean, you have to write a grant from it. There's a competition every so few years, but it can be at a college or it could be at a community-based organization.
Okay. And what about EOC? Is that, again, nationwide? Is it sort of unique to Arkansas, or what?
It is not unique to Arkansas, but each location or site where TRIO is at, they may or may not have the different programs. So you may have one program on one part of the state that they offer talent search only.
Gotcha.
Or you may have a program that's on a college campus, and the only program that they have might be student support services,
Gotcha.
which is after they have enrolled. Our program has a more varied, a bigger variety. So.
Okay. Well, now, let me throw this open to both of you and just answer as you will. I was thinking about various, if you will, specific, or if you prefer, target groups that for one reason or another they would like to get back to having access to higher education. But for one reason or another, age, family circumstances, various other things. Well, I've just put it off for so long. Now I'm ready, but am I eligible? So let me just throw some of these representative examples at you. And yes, you can help them either through TRIO or through EOC or otherwise. Okay, single parents.
Yes, there is a single parent scholarship application available for adults who have who are in or the custodial parent. Actually, they can be a non-custodial parent as well. So there is a single parent scholarship. Yes.
Okay. Now there could be those individuals, again, for whatever circumstances. They go. Maybe they experience their first semester, maybe their first year. Oh, I don't want to go through this anymore. So they, to use the old saying, they drop out. But then some time passes and, oh my heavens, what did I miss out on? I'm going to go back. I've got it while my brain is still active. What about people who have been college students but have not gotten their degree?
We do work with post-secondary dropouts, as you said. If they have, for some reason, had to take a break from their education, then we can help them make sure that all of the credits that they have earned, if they qualify, can be transferred over to a new school.
No matter how long ago, like, say, they took that?
Some credits do expire, and that's one thing that we work with the schools, and we are held to whatever the school's rules are.
Gotcha.
So we'll do what we can to help them navigate through there, but we do work with them to transfer and to get the maximum amount of credits shared to the school through their transcript. We work with them if they have been to school, dropped out, and possibly been incarcerated.
That was my next one.
And so they were never able to drop out or officially withdraw. So their credit or their financial aid got turned upside down, and we can help them to work their way through either consolidating or getting out of default.
Now, you just touched on that next one about people who have been incarcerated, persons who have felony convictions. What about there are going to be those individuals, maybe some of them have had exposure arguably for the first time while they've been incarcerated, and they say, oh, if I only knew then what I know now, and I want to pick up more on this. Would TRIO and or EOC, would that be a program to help someone who's been formerly incarcerated to further his or her studies?
Yes, absolutely. And sometimes they pick up studies while they are incarcerated, and they want to know, can they transfer those credits out? And they definitely want to go forward. And so really, as long as there's nothing, a charge against them that is a disqualifying charge.
For example,
sex offense,
sex offenders, murder, kidnapping. If it is not a disqualifying charge, then they could go back to school. It may be that they have to speak with an advisor on the campus that gives them, they need to go find their ACIC papers and have it all taken care of through Court Connect and provide that documentation, and then really make a statement of, this is what I've been through and this is what I'm doing to overcome it. So it may be required that they have to share that story.
Okay. Well, another group, and again, you were talking with an example of this group just before we came here into the studio, and that is someone who is a bona fide veteran. Okay.
I recently took over going to the Veterans Day Treatment Center, so I am in the process of learning, but absolutely veterans qualify. They may have a GI Bill, they may have something that they're not sure how to use it or how to navigate. Well, we can get them in touch with the military liaison at the school, find out what are the requirements that they need in order to progress. There may be, what is it, the DD 214? DD 214. Yes, they may have to get that and provide it, but there could be benefits that are available to them because they're a vet.
Now, I also understand that a kind of, if you will, disqualifier would be for someone who already has, say, an undergraduate degree.
Yes, unfortunately, since we are funded by the Department of Education, there are certain rules we have to abide by, and one of them happens to be, if you have a baccalaureate degree, then you are ineligible for our services.
And again, just playing devil's advocate, even if the person wants to completely change their direction and get a second bachelor's degree.
The rules are very specific. If they have a baccalaureate degree, then they're ineligible. It kind of works the same way with financial aid. If you already have a baccalaureate degree, if you fill out a FAFSA application, you're ineligible for Pell Grants. So it kind of just disqualifies you for that.
Gotcha. Okay. Are there any other groups? Are there any other, if you will, categories out there, in addition to what we've been talking about for the last couple of minutes, that you'd like to say right here and now? Yes, you are very likely eligible for EOC and or TRIO participation.
We've really been trying to establish a footprint with the Hispanic community out there. And we've been quite fortunate to have some employees who are really connected in that aspect. So we have seen a great influx of Hispanic students.
Well, now I can't believe it. We are already at the bottom of the hour, and we've only just scratched the surface. We're going to take a break for about a minute, share a couple of pieces of information with you. Then we're going to be back to kick off the second half. You're listening to this week's edition of It Could Be You. I'm your host, John S. Hang in there. We're going to be back with you in about a minute. John S. back with you for the second half of this week's program. One more bit of information that I got from the wonderful folks over at DHS, and I'm talking specifically the folks who are on the lookout for Medicare fraud. Medicare Fraud Prevention Week focuses on the actions that everyone can take to prevent Medicare fraud, errors, and abuse. You can learn how to protect yourself and your loved ones by joining the Senior Medicare Patrol, SMP, for Medicare Fraud Prevention Week. And this year, that week kicks off on June 5th and runs through June 11th. You want to learn more about Senior Medicare Patrol and how to recognize and stop Medicare fraud. You can go to smpresource.org. That's S as in Samuel, M as in Michael, P as in Peter, smpresource.org, or by calling 877-808-2468. Again, 877-808-2468. And also a quick reminder that we are once again in the KABF Quarterly Pledge Drive. And yes, I'm pretty sure you're getting some good information that you're just not readily getting on a lot of other media outlets. So help It Could Be You and the other programs to keep bringing you the music that you like, and even more so, the information that you know is accurate. Contribute what you can to KABF. Oh, I forgot to mention that anything coming into KABF is tax deductible. You heard it right. 501c3 here, so anything to show your support, or if you want to take out some underwriting. We've got a few programs here like Buy a Watt, where you can let folks know tax deductible about an event you've got coming up, something that you want to share with the folks. And we here at KABF, we are going to welcome that, because you see, it's going to be a win for us. You're showing your support, and it's a win for you because you get your information out to all of the listeners, and I'm talking about over most, if not all, of the state of Arkansas. That's one of the benefits you got when you're broadcasting at 100,000 watts. TRIO, EOC programs is what we've been talking about, access to higher education. And I've got a couple of really wonderful, dedicated guests in the studio with me to talk about these programs. I've forgotten their names once again, so I'm going to ask them to reintroduce themselves and to, once again, how the heck can you get in touch? They're going to answer that question as well. Who's going to kick off this time?
Well, first off, I'm Howard Jackson. I'm with the EOC TRIO program.
And I'm Leah Irvin. And EOC offices are at 5820 Asher Avenue in what used to be the University Plaza Shopping Center. Mm-hmm. We're down in Suite 800 next to the police. Mm-hmm. And our phone number is 501-916-3470.
Again, please, on the number.
501-916-3470. Mm-hmm. And then we have our website at ualr.edu. Mm-hmm. Is that a backslash? Sorry. TRIO /EOC Central. Mm-hmm. Facebook is at EOCCentral.AR. And Instagram is at EOC TRIO.
How about those online contacts? Would you please give them again to the listeners?
Sure. It's ualr.edu /TRIO /EOC Central. Facebook is at EOCCentral.AR. Mm-hmm. And Instagram is at EOC TRIO.
All right. Now, I'm going to let everybody know that if you want to call in, if you have a question about the TRIO or EOC programs that for the guests, okay, our phone line is 501, if you need the area code, 433-0088. 433-0088. So if you have a question about the program, the TRIO and or the EOC program, the guests are going to be here to answer what questions you got to the best of their ability. I've got another question for you. Okay. I'm reborn again, let's say. I'm a totally different person, and I want to find out if I'm eligible for either or both of these programs. Do you have any guidelines? Do you have any hard and fast requirements to determine if a person is eligible for either or both of the programs?
Yes, there is two major guidelines. Mm-hmm. One of them is based upon your annual income. Mm-hmm. So there is an income guideline for our services. Mm-hmm. The other one is a parental education. So if either your mother or your father has a baccalaureate degree. So you may qualify for our program either one of those ways or maybe both of those ways. Mm-hmm. But actually, we do have a small slots available for people who exceed both those categories. So we have an other category. Okay. But majority primarily has to be qualified both ways or just one of those ways.
And what about for the EOC? Does that hold hard and fast for that program? Are there any additional requirements?
Well, TRIO, EOC is a part of the TRIO program, and we are under the federal TRIO program umbrella, but EOC, we specifically work with adults. Mm-hmm. Again, the Talent Search works with junior high and high schools. Mm-hmm. EOC, we work with the adults. And I don't want it to get past here. We do still work with traditional students.
Gotcha.
Even though we work with, incarcerated, non-traditional
veterans and
so on, we do also, if you are low-income first gen and you're interested in having some assistance to go to school, we do still work with those population.
Okay, well, eligibility, let's say, has been established. Okay, hypothetically, I'm coming in, I've been determined to be eligible. Okay, what's the application process like? Are there like any documents, any paperwork that I need to bring in? If I say I'm coming in to either fill out the forms or maybe there's a face-to-face interview, a face-to-face talk that is required. What are going to be certain aspects of the application process?
We do have an application that you must fill out, and it has a needs assessment on there that you must indicate exactly what services you are seeking from us. Generally, what takes place afterwards is you come in for an office appointment where we discuss more in detail exactly what it is that you're looking to do. As I said, depending on the documents, that's what's needed. It all depends on what type of school you're applying for. If you are applying for a traditional 2-4-year college, then you must know there are certain documents you must submit, for example, being a high school GED transcript,
high school diploma,
immunization record, and then you got to take a placement exam.
Gotcha.
If you're attending a preparatory school, like, for example, you want to go to barber college or beauty or get your
cooking, whatever,
or CDL, commercial driver's license. Only thing they require from that is just completion of high school, so you need not worry about going through the rigmarole of submitting all those other documents.
Okay, now, assistance is available. Now, and let's put it into just the two generic categories. First of all, non-financial. Like, for example, would I be safe in saying that either TRIO or EOC would have, like, say, GED or its equivalent training?
Okay, one thing that I try to tell whenever I speak is that we are not a school, and we don't have any money. What we do is we get you into the best fit school of what your interest level is, and then we try to connect you to funding sources. And so if there is someone who lacks their GED, we might refer them to adult ed. If they're looking for something that is more traditional, like a school day, we might send them to the Excel Academy or Graduate Arkansas. It just depends on what the student's best fit, because some students prefer to learn in person, and some students they're working. They have life going on, and so they might need the online option. So we can refer them to an adult ed program. There may be that they're looking for their CNA or something along those lines, and there's programs out there available through SNAP and TANF that we're going to get them in contact with. We're just going to try to make those dots connected.
Now, and some of these other non-financial services, and again, correct me if I'm going off in the wrong direction, that would maybe, for the people who need it, could include maybe computer literacy training, or perhaps tutorials, or maybe, for lack of a better phrase, remedial classes. Are those available, either EOC and or TRIO?
Okay, what we would do if a student comes in and they take the placement exam with us, which is the AccuPlacer, and we absorb the cost for that. If they would like to improve their score, then we can give them access to a study program called SHMOOP, and it helps. It's aligned to the AccuPlacer and the ACT, and they can practice their basic skills, reading, writing, and algebra. Well, it's not algebra, it's math.
Well, the basics.
Yes, it's the basics.
Okay. Now, jumping from non-financial to financial assistance. Let's go into that.
Okay, so we can assist with completing the FAFSA application. FAFSA stands for Free Application Federal Student Aid. So when you complete this application, you're actually applying for Pell Grants, which is free money, and student loans, which is money, of course, you have to pay back. You have to complete the FAFSA every school year. And when you submit the FAFSA, once you submit it, what you're going to receive in return is like a student aid report. It's going to tell you what you're eligible for as far as the amount of the Pell Grant and the student loan. The actual decision as to how much money you will receive that'll be determined by the school that you apply to.
Gotcha.
So when you're completing the FAFSA application, you put down the school code of where you want to go to, and they will actually indicate how much money you're going to get back.
Now, the money that they could get, is that going to be applied only, say, for the actual tuition? Would it cover like any fees, administrative fees, textbooks, other things like that? Is it on a school-by-school basis?
Yes. When you complete the FAFSA application, it also indicates what school you want to go to and if you want to reside on or off campus. So it covers tuition, fees, room and board. As far as textbooks or anything, the school will get its money off the top.
Gotcha.
And then whatever is left over will be returned to the student, and they can go off and purchase books or other supplies with that.
Now, hypothetically, there's someone out there, but let's say I'm that hypothetical. I'm coming in, I want to get help, either EOC or TRIO, okay, but I've had a previous bad financial experience, and I've had to default on an earlier student loan. Is that going to cause any grief for me?
Yes, there are some consequences for having a defaulted student loan. One of them being the major issue is you can't receive financial aid. The other issues are if you have a job, they can garnish your wages. If you file income taxes, they can seize your tax return. If you apply for a loan for auto or furniture or anything like that, you have these real high interest rates.
Gotcha.
So if you are in default, yes, we can work with you. If you have more than one student loan, you can apply what's called a consolidation, which if your application is approved, it automatically removes you from default status.
Gotcha.
You can receive financial aid immediately.
Okay, and for people, well, I'm going to say for people to find out more information.
Oh, okay. They can call our number, 501-916-3470. But as I mentioned, that's if they have more than one student loan. If they have just one student loan, then they can apply for an income-based driven plan,
Gotcha.
which is based upon your income, and it typically takes 6 months for that to go into effect.
Now, if someone, well, again, hypothetically me, okay, I'm already enrolled. I'm a bona fide, say, whether full-time or part-time student at another institution, say in Central Arkansas, and I get in touch with your office. I want to find out about my eligibility for TRIO, for EOC. Even though I'm already registered, I'm already a student in good standing, I hope, at another college, at another university.
Okay, if that college or university has student support services on campus, it would be our recommendation that they go and speak to them first, because they're going to have more streamlined information to their school and their needs. But we can work with them if they need to apply, transfer, or renew their FAFSA. If they need to apply to a school, transfer to another school, or renew their FAFSA. If they're seeking additional scholarships, we can work with them. But if there's student support services on the school that they're attending, then we would refer them there first, because they're going to have more specific information.
Now, a very great deal has been kind of making the rounds over the last few years that, if I go to college, if I go to the university, and I get some of this help here, well, they're going to help me find a job. They're going to help me with job placement. Now, is that the case as far as TRIO or EOC is concerned?
We're more or less in the business of education. However, we do have a career assessment, an online inventory that they can take, where it will assess their interests and kind of give them guidance on what type of career is most suited for them.
Gotcha.
But in the past, we have done workshops where we can assist with, we reviewed resume preparation, and we have speakers come in and talk about soft skills as far as interview techniques and stuff like that.
And I will jump in there. I'm actually a certified career service provider. And in my opinion, education leads to employment. The purpose of going to school and getting educated is so that you can find employment that is not just a job, but a career and something that you can sustain and do for the rest of your life.
Which is one big argument for retention, for staying in
Yes.
and getting your education. Oh, well, then that leads straight into another hypothetical I've got for you. Okay. We've got a call coming in. Let's see who we've got here. KABF, you're on the air.
Yes, I'm calling in regards to the program.
Yes.
And I was trying to find out, would I be able to apply for that program to become a substance abuse counselor? Or
I'm sorry, you're kind of fading away on me there. Could you speak up a little bit, please?
Okay. All right, can you hear me now?
That's a little bit better, yes.
I was trying to find out that if that program. Hold on.
This time I'm getting some. If you're on a speakerphone, you better turn off your speaker.
I just did.
Well, we're still getting some echo. Go for it again. Let's try it again.
I was trying to find out if I can apply for the EOC program for substance abuse counseling. And
For like peer recovery or counselor in training?
yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I worked with a man this afternoon looking online to find out what behavioral science programs might be available out there. It is a process. It's not an event, but you're more than welcome to go to our website and put your information in there, and it'll give us a little bit better idea of what services you need, and then we'll reach out to you and we'll go from there.
Oh, okay. What about secondary languages?
Secondary what?
Languages?
Secondary languages?
Oh, absolutely. If there's programs out there for in most schools for secondary language learning.
You're like English is a second language.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like English is a second
Yeah,
language?
that's what he was saying.
English is.
English or Spanish or whatever.
He wants to learn another language.
This is to learn another language or to teach. English is a second language.
Learn another language.
Oh yeah, he can. We have languages there.
Okay, all right. Well, how about while he's on the line here, give the contact phone number for him.
Okay.
For sure.
Yeah, you can call. Our main number is 501-916-3470.
Again.
501-916-3470, and you can always Google Trio EOC at ULR.
All right. Many thanks for your call, and please spread the word about the program and about Trio EOC, and of course, it could be you. Thank you very, very much for your call.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Take care. Okay. All right. Well, people listen in, and people do want that information. Now, before the call is coming in, I've got another hypothetical for you. I'm an EOC and or TRIO student. Now, something happens. I have to drop out of the program. Maybe it's temporary. Okay, maybe I have to leave for a semester, maybe I have to leave for a year. I come back and, well, I was with EOC. I was getting help from TRIO. Do I have to reapply? Can I pick up where I left off? What's the story about that situation?
Yes, we can reactivate your application, and depending on what it is that you're needing assistance with, we can pretty much more or less. If you want to transfer to another school or return to the school that you once,
or say it was a health emergency, would that be something there as well?
Sure. I mean, you can always go back depending on the situation of how you left. That's another maybe an issue, but
Gotcha. Okay. Now, you were just talking about the impact, the importance of education, and that's something that, well, to be honest, I was involved in higher education for many years, and I can attest to the fact that the people who were really driven, they wanted to learn and they wanted to prepare themselves, not just for a career, but to be able to develop critical thinking skills to where they wouldn't have to say, well, I don't know anything about this. So education is vital. And TRIO EOC is proof of that. I think I'm correct in saying that.
Definitely.
Okay. Well, is there anything else about either or both of these programs? We've only got just a very few minutes left. We've talked primarily a lot of basic information about TRIO, about application, eligibility, and so on. But in the time remaining, if there was, say, maybe one more thing right now that you want all the listeners out there to know about EOC, about TRIO, either or both. Let me sort of pick on you first. If there was this one more thing you wanted to let listeners know about these programs, what would it be? You know, something we haven't touched on.
Well, we're going to have an event in July titled the College Crash Course, which is a series of workshops on college admissions, financial aid resources, career development, and we also focus on mental health awareness. And so we'll have speakers come in and talk about those various topics. We pretty much do it every year, and so it's been pretty successful for us. And we'll be sending out announcements when that event, as the date comes close. But we're quite proud of that.
Okay, your turn. In addition, if there is one more thing about your work, about the programs that you want listeners to know about right now.
TRIO works. Reality is I didn't know anything about TRIO whenever I was a non-traditional student or with my own children, and it was an enormous struggle as a first-generation student. There were just things about how to navigate the paperwork and the process that I felt alone and overwhelmed. Now, I'm very persistent dog, pit bull. I'm going to make it happen, you know, and other people can do the same.
They don't have to be trapped in fear. Oh, I'm not worthy. I'm too far behind.
Yeah, I'm too old. I'm not tall enough. I'm left-handed. You know, it's okay. It really doesn't matter because you can do it. You're worth it. Put the time in, put the effort. And the reality is with a lot of these programs, the schools, the federal government, the funding, put some skin in the game. Lean into it. If you want it, make it happen.
Okay, and if they want it, they want to make it happen, and they want to go to EOC and or TRIO. Contact information for them again, please.
Okay, the Educational Opportunity Center is located at 5820 Asher Avenue in Little Rock, Suite 800. Our phone number is 501-916-3470.
Again?
That's 501-916-3470. Our webpage is ualr.edu/trio/EOC Central. Facebook at eoccentral.ar. Instagram at EOC Trio, and Trio Works. Let us help.
All right. Okay. What y'all are doing needs doing. If we're going to be having a good, functioning, really best possible society, education is one of the most important things that's out there that's really, really going to do it. Many, many thanks for what you're doing. I know there was a lot more I wanted to ask, but unfortunately we are out of time. I'm hoping I could metaphorically threaten or arm twist you into making a return visit to It Could Be You at some point in the future and talk about what y'all are doing. Any updates, anything like that?
Thank you.
Look forward to it.
Thank you very, very much for being on this week's edition of It Could Be You. And next week, we're going to kind of continue this looking at groups that are providing help. I've had to reschedule next week's program with the original guest, and I'm working on a guest representing a group that's going to be, among other things, doing a good deal of outreach to the Hispanic, to the Latino communities. And that is going to be our scheduled program for next week. Spread the word about It Could Be You. Spread the word about KABF, and while you're spreading the word, also spread the appeal that we're putting out there, okay, that your support is going to be very, very welcome. It's all tax deductible because you're helping us to fulfill our mission of being the voice of the people. Be with me next week and for all the other programs that are going to be coming up, because we're sharing good, solid information that you're just not going to readily find on any other local media outlet, for sure. But at the same time, always, as always, take care of yourselves. Because you never know. Between now and next week's program, something could happen. And it could be you that it happens to.